all set up?
Yeah, we're all set.
We're like ready to go. I'm going to sit up straight this week.
It's number 10! Partly because number 8 got split into 2. But it's our centennial?
No.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know what 10th is. That's 100th. Centennial is 100th.
Oh, you're right. Oh, what was I thinking?
Oh, we're nowhere near.
Decimal. It's our decimal. Oh, Alicia's not educated. It's a horrible beginning. We didn't. Oh,
this bodes well.
You know what we should do first?
Huh.
Before we forget, let's just choose a topic.
Yeah.
We're supposed to choose one at the end of every episode.
We have done nothing of the kind.
Wheel of morality. Turn.
Okay, I'm gonna really mix them up. The one time we did draw one, remember we didn't like it and we didn't do it.
Might happen again.
And we chose them. We chose what to put in there. Christ and workplace/women.
Like women in the workplace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one sounds good.
Yeah,
I can
that probably
do that.
sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I can handle that.
Did you see my email about who I think we should have as a guest too, and what I thought maybe we could talk to him about?
Mm-hmm. I think we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound bad.
Yeah. So we didn't have a topic today because we forgot to pull one out of our jar. Mm-hmm. So
we both had a busy week too, though.
Yeah.
So.
My car has problems.
Both our cars have semi. The new one, we just got a new car. Well, it's new to us, but it's like 9 years old. It's making a squeaking, and it has a vibrate, and so we probably need to have my guess is a timing belt adjusted, because when the other car did this, that's what it needed.
We just had our timing belt and our water pump. It was $916.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have the timing belt replaced. I think it just needs to be adjusted.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway,
so
that's boring.
I Googled Christian conversation topics. It was so
to
bad.
The internet.
It was so bad because I didn't even realize this is what it was going to be, but it was all like ways to like introduce Jesus into the conversation with your unbelieving friends who don't want to talk about Jesus. And I was like, this isn't going to work. But this is kind of like that. But this one was called, oh no, I don't remember.
Spiritual conversation starters. 44 of them.
44 spiritual conversation starters. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we're skipping some because Alicia didn't like them.
If you see that I crossed one out that you liked.
No.
Okay, Lark. In your opinion, how does one become a Christian?
Well,
and they're liars. There were 43 because that one showed up twice.
Yeah, there were. I did notice that.
Yeah. They're like, no, really, how do you think?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, actually, because I think some of my beliefs on it are changing because the whole, like, you pray the sinner's prayer and then something magical happens. I don't know. I don't know if that when I read the Bible, that doesn't exactly seem to be exactly how it goes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes like it seems more like the actual baptism in the thing is the thing. Mm-hmm. But I think there's an acceptance. There's accepting that you need God and that this is God's plan and that God's plan is what you need and that you need him. And through the blood of Jesus Christ, I think that part is pretty important. Yeah,
so do I, even though I don't necessarily agree with what everybody thinks that means
What do you think it means?
I'm not 100%. I hate the way we explain what the death of Jesus means because I feel like...
I've been thinking about that a lot.
People take for granted that they don't need to explain it. So they'll just say, they think it's enough to just say, like, Jesus' sins or Jesus' blood paid for our sins. What does that mean? And so then, like, when you follow it, I just end up having more questions, if they say, like, well, sin created a debt and that debt had to be paid. Paid to who? Mm-hmm. To God or to just... That's just how it is. Because I feel like sometimes people, I don't like the way
this is like a big area of theology is determining,
I want to have an episode about it.
That would be a good episode. Yeah. Oh, it gives us an excuse to read all kinds of books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just Googled it. Well, I found an article where some guy was summarizing like the top 5 approaches to it.
Yeah.
For this question, in my opinion, how does someone become a Christian? I put believing in God and in Jesus in a way that changes your thinking and your behavior.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's very succinct.
Yeah, I know that sometimes people get confused about this too, because in some places it makes it sound like all you have to do is believe and then there's enough grace for every other action or inaction. In my opinion, when it says like show me your faith without works and I'll show you my faith with works, I feel like part of what he's saying is if you believe that God exists and that he is going to judge you for your actions and you still don't change your actions, you're giving God the finger. Like, it might be better if you just didn't change your actions because you don't believe in God. But if you believe in God but you don't change your actions, then do you really believe in the supremacy of God? Do you really believe that you owe him anything?
Yeah, like there's a very important moving part missing if that's not happening.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There is a moving part that is missing.
And the machine's not...
Whether you're saved or not, I won't say, but I would not call you a Christian.
Is it okay if I adjust this?
Of course it is. I don't think it makes horrible noises.
Okay.
No, I don't think it does, because I do it all the time. So,
I just listened to it without the visual, and I've never heard anything.
Oh, that's
so
good.
It must be okay.
And I think I mess with it a lot. So, hopefully, no, the cat's in the basement. Okay.
Oh, the cat's in the basement. I don't care.
I was thinking cats in the basement with the silver spoon.
I like that. That one's better.
Okay.
Why? Why is it down there? Why is the spoon down there?
Yeah. Why do you leave your silver spoons down there?
You should take better care of your silver spoons.
Yeah, Grandma agrees. Yeah. Okay, number 3. What single thing would you like to make absolutely certain you do, if at all possible, during your lifetime?
Yours is all virtuous.
No, that's just, that is to me, like, the one thing that if I get it right, like, that's okay, but if I get it wrong, I don't know if I'll care about anything else. Like, I want to raise my children well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But mine is not virtuous. Mine is write a freaking novel already, because they're all living in my head. I have so many of them living in my head, and it gets heavy. It feels heavy having them in my... It's like I have to... If I don't write these things and get them out of my head before I die, I'm going to die with all of this weight of story on me, and I don't want that to happen.
And then your purgatory is going to be something related to that.
That's not... I'm glad that writing fiction is not like a biblical mandate. That is a comfort to me.
I'm not a writer, so are you ready for my advice?
Uh-huh.
Just go ahead and write your bad version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I'm working on it, actually.
Yeah. And then you can make it better later.
I'm actually working on a bunch of them, because I'm always working on a bunch of them.
I'm excited for the one I've heard about.
I discovered Google Drive, and that's making it easier, because I used to, I can't write on paper. I've tried, and it just doesn't work well. I do better with a computer.
It's going to take a lot longer.
But,
it's bad for trees.
But you know, if I'm writing it on my computer at home, then if I'm at work and I have break, I can't, because my laptop is not made for actually being transportable. It has to sit in one spot, and even then it malfunctions if like you bump it too much. But Google Drive, and then I can just write it on there, and then I can log into any computer. So I've actually been writing.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4. How do you think a person can keep from becoming a workaholic? Make yourself work less.
Yep, don't work too much.
I thought it was a really weird one, especially for, like, ways to introduce spirituality into the conversation. Like, are you really going to sit down at a table with someone and be like, hey, how do you think you could, like, make yourself less of a workaholic? They'd probably be like, quit talking to
work
me.
Too much.
Quit. I'm trying to work. Get out of here. Try to work. Who let you in here?
I'll be like, you're trying to tell me something, Bob? Right.
Get back to work. You work in the same place this time. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to go around to each cubicle and be like, hey, how do you think you can make yourself less of a workaholic? And they'll all look at me and be like, Alicia, go work. Go back to your desk. Why are you just standing around? Okay. I didn't necessarily... yeah. What character can you imagine yourself to be
Steampunk air pirate. That's not true, but that's the first thing I thought
of. Not a specific one, just like
was it supposed to be a specific one?
Well, they didn't really
like
say.
Historical figure?
It doesn't say historical or fictional.
That's the only kind of character I could come up with on the fly.
With a
I don't know why that's the first pirate.
A steampunk air pirate.
Yeah. I don't know why that was the first thing I could think of.
I don't like steampunk.
I don't read it. I like the aesthetic.
Oh,
but
I
don't think
read any of it. I'm talking about the fashion.
Oh, the fashion. Mm-hmm. I like the wood. I like the wood and the brass and the... Yeah, I like wood.
I like them all when they're not, like, glued to a tiny top hat. You know?
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah. Okay.
Where was it? Val and I were somewhere, and there was a guy wearing a top hat, just like wearing one. Like it was, like it was 1899. It was... I think we were in Meyer.
I didn't have an answer for this one.
Oh, what is it?
Actually, lately, I did have an answer just the other day about a character that reminded me of myself, but that's my answer for number 6. So. Oh, which is the next one. What are you reading that is not an assignment or required by work? And the other day, at work, I read The Little Prince, and
The whole thing?
Yeah.
I've never read it.
It's not very long.
I know.
I read it at work. I didn't love it. I liked it, but you're supposed to be like, this is a masterpiece. And it probably was, but my favorite part, do you want me to tell you? It's not going to be a spoiler now.
No,
it's a children's book.
We used to watch the cartoon all the time, so I know the basics.
I like the fox. There's a fox, and he says, will you play with me? And the fox says, I can't play with you. I'm not tame. But then, they talk for a little bit, and then the fox says, would you tame me?
I can see how that would be.
It reminded me of I feel like I'm constantly running around trying to get people to tame me. And not in a wild sense, but just like, would you take me on as a pet?
Uh-huh.
I remember once I told one of my friends, I love being like a pet. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, don't be weird. Like a teacher's pet. Like that type of... Oh, man. What have you been reading that's not for work?
I don't read anything for work, but I have been reading Kinfolk by Pearl S. Buck because I got that pretty copy of it from Jelly Bean's bookstore, and I'm almost done with it. And also, I am audiobooking because I have unlimited time to listen to things at work. I've been listening to the Dragon Riders of Pern series. It's from the 60s and 70s through now.
Gabe, at least. Wait, are those Earthsea?
No.
Oh no.
No,
that's a completely different one.
That's is that Ursuline Le Guin? This is Anne McCaffrey.
Okay. Is it good?
The story is good. The character development is adequate. The actual writing, because this is the first one, and she wrote for 30 years.
Okay.
So I'm cutting her some slack, but it reads like it needed much better style editing.
Yeah.
But the story itself is good. But that's okay because it was not very long. I listened to it. I finished it in a day and a half.
I keep trying to get, because Gabe listens to audiobooks to and from work, and I keep trying to get him to listen to the Dark Materials because I really love those, and it'd be nice if I could have conversations with him about them. So you should read them too sometime.
Someday I will.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep listening to him because I'm imagining the writing gets better.
Okay. Number 7.
Oh, number 7.
How do you know you'll go to heaven when you die? I don't.
Yeah, I don't think I do either.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to elaborate on that or just leave people
See episode number 1. I could probably even look up what the minutes are and flash it on minute 16 and 4 seconds.
I didn't even remember we talked about that in episode 1. Oh, good for us.
Okay, how are you growing personally?
Outward. Definitely outward.
You are growing another person very personally.
Yep, there's another person. I contain a plurality of humans.
That's not very conservative Christian of you. Are they against plurality?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
There's 2 of us in here.
I didn't write an answer down. How am I growing personally? Things have seemed pretty dismal for a while. Maybe soon they'll get better. Maybe
Are there glimmers on the horizon?
No, everything's perennial. It can't last forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
This
not
too
growing,
shall
that's
pass.
Just phase. It's just phase, I guess. But.
I've had this song stuck in my head for days that's called This Too Shall Pass, but it's pretty grim.
By who?
Danny Schmidt.
Oh, I don't know it.
It's in the playlist I've been working on. But I feel kind of guilty about it because it's not Christian.
My first one wasn't all Christian?
Yeah.
I don't think. Maybe it was. I don't think so.
It's pretty grim. But anyway.
That's okay. In a conversation with someone who has never heard about God, what would you say about him from your experience? I said I would answer from understanding the Bible. So if I could only say one thing, I would say he is vast and cannot be challenged, but his strongest emotion towards humanity is love.
That's a tricky question because honestly, I don't know what's going on. I suspect that what's happening is I'm not reading the Bible correctly because my personal experience of God is very different from the feeling I get of God when I read the Bible, because from the Bible, honestly, my feeling, it feels like God is very like scary and unapproachable, like even New Testament. It's scary and unapproachable. And, kind of exacting. Mm-hmm. And in my personal experience, he's never been that way. Yeah. It's always been grace and patience and blessings that I don't deserve. And very tender, really. Very loving.
Yeah.
So it's a funny question because...
Plus, if somebody came up to me and they were like, sum God up in one sentence, I would say no. Go away.
Get back to work.
if that's all the more you'll hear about him, then there's no point.
Yeah, it's a contextless statement then. Yeah. That's not going to be useful to anybody.
Yeah. Understanding
God is nothing but context.
Understanding God has to be a continuous conversation. It cannot be a paragraph or a page or a book. It's a lifelong conversation with lots of other people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're still not going to get to the end of it.
No. How would you describe your father and his impact on your life?
Yeah, that's a normal question to ask people.
This is what I was like, what? Later down, they do ask about mother, but at first I was like, this is screwed up. I said, my parents are divorced, and I have always been happy it was that way.
Always seemed like a good idea. Well, not always. I remember when I was little, like parent trappy kind of. It'd be nice if they got back together. But then at a certain point, it was like, my parents are not really compatible in that way.
There is one occasion I can think of my whole life where I was like, it sucks that my parents aren't married. And that was one time when we were poor and I realized a lot of my friends had a 2-income household.
You were like, oh.
Yeah, I was like,
this is the problem.
Because he paid child support, but still, your overhead is doubled. You're running 2 households. This financially would be better for me. Yeah, but that's the only reason. But I said that the circumstances under which they got divorced suck, like it always does when people get divorced.
It always does.
But it has worked out well for me, and I'm glad that it brought Grandpa's love into my life in a much bigger way than it would have been.
Yeah, because we ended up living with our mom and us lived with our grandparents for a while.
Until I was in kindergarten, then we moved next door. So I saw my grandpa is very important to me. I have been accused of having daddy issues before, and it has always it has irked me to hear it because the thing is, I don't have.
You seem completely absent.
I don't have abandonment issues. I have an affinity for father figures because I had dad,
you had 2 of them.
I had grandpa, and I had Pat.
You were like, these are awesome. I got 3 of them. I could take more.
And I was bonded to grandpa when I was little in a way that was almost as much as mom. And then when mom married Pat, I was bonded to Pat as much as I was to mom. And then dad was always in our lives too. I was never as close with dad as I was with mom or grandpa or Pat. But I had 3 extremely positive father figures in my life. So when I'm around someone that has that kind of natural father type vibe to them, I just feel so comfortable with that and I gravitate towards it. So people have Rossi. Daddy issues. I just like dads. I like fathers. Plus, like I said, I like to be a teacher's pet. So, man or woman, anybody that treat me like a pretty little pet, pat my head. Anyways. Do you want to answer that very intrusive and inappropriate question?
Well, I like what you said about down at the bottom, about our dad having a certain kind of style and rhythm and scent about his house and voice and cars that you like. Because I was realizing that when I finally like got my own place once Val and I were married, that the way I decorate and run a house and like organize a house is not anything like Mom's side, even though like, you know, we grew up with Mom and with her parents and Annie K, you know. But my house doesn't, it looks like a Millington house. It looks and feels much more like a Millington house. I like Dad and Ann's style. Both of them. I like their style. Yeah. A lot more than Mom's style. Yep. That's where our aesthetic affinities lie. Well, I like Annie K's style too, though. Yeah, I do like Annie K's style. I could never sustain that, though. She's so clean. Yeah. It's so unbelievably clean. Tell me about your mentor and his or her impact on your life. I said I do not have a solid sensei. Nope. I would like one. Yeah, I'd take one. But they can't suck, so I'm not going to take anyone that comes along. And nobody's and it would have to generate itself organically, that kind of relationship. I mean, people can apply if they want to. Just nobody's going to. Nobody is like, I really want to mentor. And there's one. I usually feel more like I could use an occupational and or academic mentor more. Which they actually do have programs at work, but it's for like... Oh, at work. I was going to say, they have program. It's called graduate school. Yeah, but it'd be nice beforehand, because then they could help you get into graduate school. See? Yeah. What do you think would probably surprise people most about you? Lark gets the answer for both of us, because I couldn't think of... I don't know what would surprise people about me. I don't really think anything... You're pretty open. I don't think anything would surprise people about me. I like fart jokes. Do they have to be like a certain, like up to a certain, or no? Like they don't have to be, I mean, not like super gross ones or anything. But like people lighting their farts on fire, does that crack you up? A little bit. Like I wouldn't do it, but me and Gabe were watching like probably fails or something. We watch fail videos all the time, and there was a kid that was like going to bench press. I couldn't say. I wanted to say breast bench. I couldn't. He was going to bench press, and his friend was like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" He's like, "Yeah, I can take it. I can take it." And then he like, as soon as he took a hold of it, he farted. See, that kind of stuff. That's funny. It was pretty funny though. Yeah, and I don't think anything's surprising about me. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything, but I can't think of anything. No. I think everybody would know everything already that I can think of. Let's see. What is your greatest strength, and what are you doing to develop it? This sounds stupid. I put some things in for you that might not make sense. No, I think those make sense. Okay, good. For myself, I can make my own decisions sometimes. And then she laughs. Because it sounds so stupid. But I said it like that because it's so hard to explain what I mean. Every once in a while, there will be a situation where people kind of just react in the ways that you're supposed to react, and they never even really think about it. And every once in a while, when those kind of situations come up, I can say to I can say to myself, like, I don't want to react that way. I want to react this way. And people will be like, no, you can't do that. Like, you have to be angry, or you have to be sad, or this has to bother you. And I'll be like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have to bother. It doesn't. And so then people are usually a little confused, or like, good job. You throw up the ribbon and they're like with Uncle Bradford. When he was trying to give us the talk about how we needed to go to college and become lawyers and doctors because the church needed lawyers and doctors, and you would just interject, but I don't want to be a lawyer and a doctor. And he would just kind of, and then keep going. That's terrific. I can think for myself sometimes. And I guess like the example that makes me think of it the most is that every once in a while there are just situations where you're supposed to take offense, and this isn't to say that I never take offense. I take offense way more than I should. But every once in a while, there will be a situation where someone will wrong me, and then everybody will try to tell me, like, you don't have to take that, or, like, it's okay to be mad about it, or you need to stand up for yourself. And I know that maybe they're even correct, like, technically,
But I'll just be like, nope, don't.
Don't feel the need.
You guys are wrong when you say I have to feel that way. Like,
feelings are not have tos.
That sort of stuff. Or there's this wonderful story about Gabe's great grandpa out on his farm in South Dakota. There was one day where he was burning tires, and his grandsons came to him and said, like, Grandpa, you can't burn tires. And he looked at him and said, sure you can. They burn real good.
Look at him go.
It's kind of like that. Every once in a while, people will be like, no, you can't do that, or you can't think that, or you can't be that. And I'll be like, I am.
Like right now.
What do you mean it's not possible? Like, it's happening. You know? Right
what
here.
do you mean they burn real good?
They burn real good. So good. Oh, man. Okay.
We're having lots of family anecdotes today. That's good.
What are 2 or 3 major truths upon which you base your decision making? I said, God is supreme, Gabe and I own each other, and just whether or not I can get what I want.
Well, I didn't make it this far down the list.
Truths you base your decision making on. A lot of my decision making is based on whether or not I can get what I want without inconveniencing Gabe or the girls. A lot.
Yeah, I think the idea of God-given right and wrong, that probably figures first. And second is probably whether I'm going to inconvenience people. And up there, too, is pragmatic interests. Like, yeah, what's like going
time
to...
and financial.
Time and finances, like what's going to get this done most efficiently with the least deleterious effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Which results in me eating a lot of bad lunches because it's like, what's in the fridge that I can put together in like 5 seconds because I'm late. And I don't want to spend money on the nasty lunches they have there.
I didn't really know. I mean, it says, number 22, tell about 2 of your lifelong friends and why they have such an impact on your life and what made you choose them. I don't even know if I really like this question. My first, because I only have one that's obvious, and that would be Ketz. And Ketz has taught me so much about how loving another person works, and about a lot of the things about myself that are destructive and dangerous and harmful, and how easy it can be for me to hurt people.
Oh, that's a good answer.
But I keep getting messages, so I'm sorry. I'm being really
probably
bad.
Rachel, but people don't know these people. Or they do know these people.
Okay.
But yep, my friend Rachel. She'll be on here eventually.
Yeah!
So you'll just see her eventually.
Okay. Have you dealt with the question, how much money is enough, and what do I do with the rest? I said, yeah, I've dealt with that question, but maybe not in the best way, by giving it away when I can, but also by buying myself a lot of stuff.
I think that's the way most people deal
That
with
is
it.
how I've dealt with that question.
We have come to the conclusion that for the most part, it seems like for right now, one income is enough for us. Mm-hmm. And that's nice because it's been really nice having one person that's not like having to truck off full time all day because, our grandparents need help and there are a bunch of kids running around and we just have one, but Mom has the other 2. So it's been useful having one person that can actually be there without it ruining us financially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly we've kept it down by, finding cheap ways to do what we want to do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The one person staying at home is like awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're probably reaching the end of that now with the car. Because now we have a car payment, and we didn't have a car payment before, so might be on the horizon, not. But
me and Gabe are probably always both gonna work, but that's one of those things about like when our grandparents were getting married and have kids, like their generation. One of the things that sometimes I feel like, in talking to like grandma and grandpa, I feel like they kind of take for granted that like that is very hard to do nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like they were blessed with how easy that was to accomplish.
Yeah, like the only reason we've been able to do it so long is that God has basically orchestrated things, and we've had a lot of family support. We lived with Mom for like the first 4 years of our marriage, and Yeah, most people can't find houses as cheap as we have,
and most people always have one, if not a lot of times 2 car payments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our house is really small, so it's really cheap to take care of it, and most people wouldn't be comfortable living in a house as small as ours.
You're really lucky with your schooling too, so you don't have just student
loan. Yeah, we don't
debt.
have any. Yeah, if either one of us had to have student loans for our schooling, the whole thing would have been shot to heck, and that's impossible for most people these days.
How would you describe your mother and the impact she had in your life? I said our mom had flaws, and those flaws did impact us in negative ways. That's definitely true. But she had the right strengths for us to be her kids. She was the perfect mom for us.
Yep, I think she was.
And this is related. I also think, and Mom has even said that I think you and I were the perfect siblings for each other. With my kids, I can see a lot of like my personality. My kids to me are what I would have been like if I hadn't had a goody two-shoes OCD sibling. You know what I mean? Because I see Dixie learning like bad attitudes from Dixie. Or I see Dixie learning bad attitudes from Evie. And it just reminds me that like I think the main reason that I grew up with a personality that is a lot like Grandma, but grew up to be polite and thoughtful of other people is probably because I followed suit of the sibling who like couldn't discipline people and couldn't break the rules. And I'm not saying I didn't do stuff that was wrong. I did, and I fibbed and that sort of thing. But like that's probably one of the big factors about why I'm not exactly like Grandma. Because I do think she's right when she says that I have a personality like hers.
I'm glad I helped.
But she didn't have a goody two shoes OCD on her sibling. Or maybe she did, but it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Anyway.
What was the question?
Describe Mom and her impact on our life.
Yeah, Mom is the one true original. Like I say.
That's a vampire show.
Is it?
The Originals.
Oh, The Originals? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the title that would tell you that that's about vampires.
Yeah, it's actually a spin-off from another vampire show.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm not up on my vampire shows.
It's WB vampire shows.
I like some shows from the WB.
Well, they are. Or wait, are they the ones that make?
Wait, no, I'm getting it mixed up with some other channel. I'm getting it mixed up with the CW.
Actually, it maybe this the WB was when we were like teenagers. Huh?
Yeah.
Is it the CW now?
It's a completely different channel.
We're completely different.
I'm pretty sure.
I thought somebody just changed.
No, I think it's completely
because there are
different.
2 letters and one of them's W. So obviously, they just went from B to version C, but put the C in front.
Obviously. Wait, where were we?
In your opinion, who was Jesus Christ? I didn't really like this question either.
I think these questions are meant for people who don't admit for ambiguity in their theological positions.
Because it's like, once again, if somebody was like, quick, go! What was Jesus to you? I'd be like, no! Like, either you're okay with having a long conversation with me, or I'm not going to talk to you about this.
Or a series of long conversations. Yeah.
Yes, I don't really like that question.
I mean, I like what you wrote, though. A mystery.
Yeah.
The human God, God's Son, separate from God, God in effect. One or all of the above.
One in all of the above. In all and through all. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the beginning, yet begotten.
I like the next one. What? Don't be leading or anything. If you could know God personally, would you be interested?
Yeah, I said, you know what? My church might not be a real evangelical church, but like evangelicalism, is that how you say it? Evangelicalism. No, it doesn't sound, that can't be it.
I think that's it.
Anyways, they rule, in my opinion, from my exposure, they rule the Christian, like, book sales and music production and movies.
They're the dominant Christian culture.
And constantly, this is all they talk about. A personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Yeah. I don't even like to hear the words, a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Like, that's always the cadence. And yeah. Because they say other things where they take for granted that you don't need to explain. Like, he will live in your heart. You can't just say that stuff. Like, what do you mean? You know?
You're coming from a particular context in which those phrases have been contextualized.
Yeah.
You just say that to somebody. They don't have that context. It's going to be like, what the frick? You know, sometimes I often be like, the phrase, God loves you. what does that mean?
Yeah.
That's a really complicated thing when you really think about it, because God is very complicated and we're fairly complicated, not as complicated, but what does that mean?
Gabe says I worry too much about what these things mean. Well, not this one so much, but like the death of Christ. Oh. One day I was like going on and on to him about one of the theories, and he was like, Alicia, some people just think about these things too much. He meant me! He meant you. How would you define materialism, and how do you deal with it in your life? Am I wrong? I said, isn't materialism a belief that only matter exists and nothing spiritual?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they mean? How do you define? Why don't you, Google it, and you will find the definition?
Yeah, I don't know. And how do you deal with it in your life?
I just said that it seems a little short-sighted to me, whether you believe in, God, and even more specifically, the Christian God or not. It seems a little short-sighted to me to say, nope, what we experience is all there is.
Yeah, it seems odd to be able to...
Yeah, that seems a little weird. You're disregarding a lot of human experience back through the ages. And I know that it's fun to say that, those people knew nothing, so we can't trust anything they said because they didn't have electricity. But, we're talking about, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of human experience that says there is more than what we see. Yeah.
Well, people that are materialist have come up with a lot of theories to explain those experiences in materialist terms.
And a lot of those experiences can be explained in materialist terms.
I think that's a good answer for how do you deal with it in your life. Because I don't feel like just because there are material explanations and just because the material exists and just because I believe that the material is in fact an important part of creation, I don't think that means that the other stuff, I don't think that means that the other stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah, or that just the other stuff isn't material. Yeah. I don't think of God...
in the same way.
I don't think of God as, immaterial. I think of God as, more than us. More in every way. So it's not that I think, God, we can't see God because he's not material. I think God can hide himself from anybody he wants, and you will never be able to access him unless he gives you access, But still, I don't think God is in any way less than us. I think God created all the physical laws, and I think that all those physical laws probably show truths about him, but he would embody all of those physical laws, and maybe even much, much more so than we could handle. Yeah.
C.S. Lewis is with you on that.
Yay!
I remember reading somewhere about, I like to think that God could have created the physical world any way he wanted.
Me too.
But C.S. Lewis is more like, God couldn't have created a physical world that was any different than what we have because this physical world is like an outgrowth of who he is.
I think it's a little presumptuous to think that these physical laws show all of his traits or embody all of his traits completely.
Because my thought on that is, okay, even if the way the physical world means something, it just seems like God could have made anything mean. He's the one who set up the nature of meaning and how meaning functions in this world.
Gravity and light weren't the only way for him to show us the truths about him that gravity and light show us. Yeah. He could have come up with something much different.
Something that we couldn't even...
Yeah, that we wouldn't think of.
We're not formatted for that. We're formatted for what does, in fact, exist.
Yeah. So we're together. What have you found to be the best way of absorbing disappointment, rejection, distress, and discouragement? I just said the right perspective.
Absorbing.
How do you absorb stress, Lark?
50% more absorbent. Very poorly. Yeah, just last night, I took a personal day from work today because I woke up at 3:30 in the morning and I couldn't stop worrying about crap. And so I didn't get back to sleep till 5:30, and then when I finally did wake up, I was like, there's no way I'm going into work.
I knew that my answer to that was the type of thing that would make some people want to punch me in the face. But for me, that's just the right perspective,
No, that's a good answer. It's just some people are less good at attaining that than other people. Oh, the best way of absorbing disappointment, rejection, distress.
Do you just try not to absorb it?
Mostly I live in glorious denial of it. And then, like, while we were trying to buy this car, I was really stressed because we weren't getting finance through the place we were buying the car from. So I had to, like, coordinate between a lot of parties. And I was trying to do it by email, and I was trying to do it without taking any time from work. Mm-hmm. So I was really stressed about that. And then we were getting some ceiling tiles tested for asbestos. And so I was worried about that. And Tynes was freaking out in really weird ways. Like, he normally loves going to the grocery store. We would put him in the cart, and he would start screaming and reaching for us. And I would, like, have to carry him for the first 10 minutes in the grocery store and, like, slowly transition him to the cart.
Hold him hovering over.
Well, I'd have to, like, hold him until we could get to the bakery and he could have a cookie to distract him, and then put him in the cart. And, like, the second that all this, because there wasn't asbestos, rejoice with me, there wasn't asbestos, because I cannot overstate how this was eating my soul.
It puts an umbrella over your roof. Did I ever show you that picture?
Oh, asbestos.
The liquid of the bucket of liquid asbestos that said it puts an umbrella over your roof.
And holes in your lungs.
I really should have stole that bucket. It was empty and full of like screws or something. I really should have stole it. The people who had it did not appreciate it. They just worked at the dam.
But anyway, anything I love that joke. But anyway,
it worked at a dam.
Yeah, that's funny. But anyway, everything got resolved on the same day, and miraculously, Tynes just became his normal self again. It was like, yay, grocery store. Let's.
It's probably because you had this look on your face all the time.
I probably did, and I did not realize that I was so freaked out. And afterwards, I was like, "Did you know I was so freaked out?" To Val, I was like, "Yeah, you were clearly like really."
Yeah, it was that look on your face.
So my method of absorbing is to not absorb it, is to absorb it without noticing, and off gas it on everybody I love.
Yeah, that's pretty normal.
Without knowing what I'm doing.
It's pretty normal.
I told Val, okay, next time you see me freaking out like this, tell me that I'm freaking out like this, and I will try to believe you. Because, he'll try to tell me, you are really stressed. I'll be like, no, I feel fine.
You've had too much. No, I can drive. I can try.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. And then the stress will be gone, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm dying. I didn't realize I felt like I was dying.
When you get to heaven, what will the first 3 questions you ask God be?
This is a ridiculous question.
Yeah, I said this is the most presumptuous question ever. But if you want to know what question I would like to ask God lately, I would like to ask God, and it is presumptuous, but I think he tolerates. Why do you leave us alone so much to figure things out when we're so wrong so much of the time, and it causes us so much inefficiency? I feel like
it's a good question.
I'm not talking about even all of humanity yet. I'm just talking about just the church. Why do you let us just have it so wrong and disagree so much and never come to a resolution and destroy so much progress and stop so many good things from happening? Like, why don't you step in a little bit and look us in the right direction?
Well, that's good, because mine are Bermuda Triangle, Loch Ness Monster, and the Money Pit. Who made that thing?
Oh man, I bet you. Listen, Jesus is gonna come back. We're all gonna be gathered to the sky. We're gonna zoom over to the Money Pit. He's gonna be like, guys, this is part of your reward, legit. I'm gonna show you. I love the Money Pit.
We've crossed a line.
I just love the Money Pit though. In the show.
Is there a show?
This show, me and Gabe only watched maybe five episodes, but there's this guy in the show who's crazy, and they're trying to like get samples of like what's down there, and so at one point they find some bones, and they're like, oh my gosh, and this one guy who's been there like just working around the area for years, he's like, well, they might be kitten bones. And they're like, Why would they be kitten bones? He's like, I got a lot of kittens, and you try to keep them away from the hole, but I might have lost a couple.
They might be kitten bones.
It's so good.
Oh, what the frick. Oh, but Bigfoot, too. I want to know about Bigfoot, also.
Yeah.
I saw Bigfoot one time, but I hallucinated Bigfoot one time because we were driving through the desert, and I was really sleep deprived, and I saw Bigfoot sitting in the middle of the road, and then he was gone, and I was like, I gotta pull over, it's Val's turn to drive, because I just saw Bigfoot, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't there.
Okay.
Why is Bigfoot always he? Assumedly there'd be
That's true.
she and he
Yeah.
Bigfoots, otherwise there would be no little Bigfoots.
They could be like sea anemones. They could split off apart.
Oh.
Mammals don't usually do that.
No, never. Never. Mammal, by definition, mammals don't do that.
I guess that's true. He couldn't be a mammal if he did that. He could be like a platypus.
Platypuses don't do that.
I know, but they aren't straight up mammals or
No, they're
amphibians, right?
No, they're not. They lay eggs.
Yeah.
The weirdos.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself a seeker of truth? I said, I consider myself a mother of two with a full-time job who listens to as many podcasts as she can and reads the Bible every day. That is my answer.
I feel like I spend more time seeking ambiguity than I find more time. Well, at least I spend more time finding ambiguity
Finding it.
than like truth. But actually, sometimes I think the truth is in the ambiguities. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, how's that?
You
can tell I took a nap today.
Do you believe what you've been brought up with? I said largely, though maybe not as my grandparents intended.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's probably right on the nose.
I probably still believe in like 80, if not 85% of what I was brought up with.
Just from a different angle.
But
maybe.
it's that other 15% that would really get grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time not having political conversations or theological conversations.
Yeah. I don't really like this one either.
Well, they already asked that anyway.
Lame one.
Yeah,
okay. So probably good enough. I know, I actually think it would be so nice to have Grandpa on the show, but then Grandma would know about the show and she'd want to watch all the other episodes. And when she found out that I said like the DAMN word and the SHIT word and the BULLSHIT word and the... I think those are the only words I've said.
Yeah, it would get the interesting.
So, yeah. The only episode Grandma would ever be able to see is the one where Grandpa came on it. But, you know. Mm-hmm. You want to see a mouse puppet that Baby made for me?
Mouse puppet. Oh.
It's pretty good.
Oh, that is pretty good.
It's taped to a crayon so it can be a puppet. It's a mouse, though. It has a tail.
Legit.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. It's a good puppet.
Okay. We probably talked for quite a long time anyway.
Did we? What time is it?
7:30.
Oh, good. It's time to go home.
Yeah, and so we'll try to learn stuff about this for next week.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.